Alright folks, this is kind of a fun little experiment. I'll try to get some pictures in here, but I have two fish tanks that are side by side, and I have a tunnel that goes between them, and fish can swim back and forth between the two tanks. And currently I'm holding the tunnel up with just a tripod and a little janky piece of plastic. I want to make a pillar, and this will be part one of that pillar. I can only get 35 inches and I need 40 something. So I'm gonna make a pillar with some decorative stuff that will go most of the way, and then I'm gonna make a foot for it. I don't know if that'll happen in the same video or a second video, but the plan is to have a decorative wooden support to hold up the fish tunnel. And I've got this birch that's long enough. I actually had enough, I could do the whole thing, but my lathe only goes, I'm actually exceeding what is recommended on this lathe by a little bit. So we're going to do it in two parts. So initially I'm just going to get it round, and then we'll start deciding what kind of beads and coves we want to put into this thing. And then I'll probably put some kind of mortise on the bottom that will slot into a future foot, and then I'll just have a flat top. And this is way thicker than it needs to be. I don't need a whole lot of weight. The tunnel's only about that big, so whatever the volume of water, about that far, which you'll see in a photo somewhere.
The fish bridge. A clear tunnel that lets the fish swim between aquariums as if gravity doesn't apply to them. It works by holding water above the tank line through suction and pressure, creating the illusion of an underwater skywalk. The fish bridge works on the same principle as an inverted siphon. Once the tunnel is filled with water and the air is removed, negative pressure and gravity balance the system so the water stays suspended above the tanks. This might look like a novelty in an aquarium, but the same physics has been used on a massive scale for centuries. The Romans, for example, built aqueducts that carried water across valleys using inverted siphons, stone channels and lead pipes that forced water down one side and back up the other, held in place entirely by pressure. The fish may not realize it, but every time they swim through the bridge, they're moving through a miniature version of the same engineering that once supplied entire cities with water. Thanks for watching the channel. Hit those button and leave a comment.
take it too far. Now I dwell in the sand like a fish on land. Like a fish on land. Must be hell, no more cookies in this jar. Did I take it too far? Now I dwell in the sand like a fish on land. 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 I was getting lost in the quicksand. Eating their way into my head, on and on until I bled. Superstitious, kind of vicious. Oh, knock, knock on wood. I was getting lost. And before I understood, I was deep, deep down on the bottom of a well. Seagrass was all I found. An alternative hell, no more cookies in this jar. Did I take it too far? Now I dwell in the sand like a fish on land. But I'm deep, deep down on the bottom of a well. I don't belong, can't you tell? This place must be hell. No more cookies in this jar. Did I take it too far? Now I dwell in the sand like a fish on land.
kind of just became a three-phase project. Thank you.